Hey everyone, welcome to the second webinar for High School Dance PLC. At this point in the recording, I have one more day of school left. Kids are gone and we are in our post-planning. Who knew we would get through this year, right? It seemed to drag on and on and on, but then go really, really fast. So hopefully your school district has worked out what next year will look like. Here in Gwinnett, the powers that be have thankfully realized that concurrent teaching online and in person at the same time is unsustainable. Whew. So we will not be doing that again. Amen. Gwinnett will offer an online option, but there'll be specific online teachers for those students. And as far as fine arts go, I don't think there will be much of a choice. There certainly won't be dance for those online kids, and I know a lot like the band and orchestra, there won't be any of that. So there'll be less of a choice for fine arts if the kids chose online, which I don't think very many kids did. It was like 0.02% of the kids. So it looks like next year is going to be pretty much normal. So here's to that. Whew. They did ask us if we wanted to teach online. So they had sent a survey out. Well, are you interested in being one of the online teachers? If there was a heck no button, I would have pushed that, but I opted for just the no button. So anyway, we're almost there. So, which leads me to our topic for today. We are talking about a fresh start, starting the next school year on the right foot. I will be talking about some of my post-production practices. For me and you, I'm assuming this is most likely after our spring show, after our last show for the year. And then I'll talk about my costume closet procedures, general cleanup of the dance room, those sorts of things. Then I'll talk about a couple of the reflection practices and how I use those reflections for planning purposes for the year coming up. And then I'll go over some tips for planning for the next year during your post-planning time. Okay, here we go. Let's get right to it. All right, post-production procedures. I did talk about this briefly in the other one, and unfortunately I was such in a hurry that I did not take any pictures of post-production striking the theater. So these are actually pictures of us getting the theater together. A shout out to my students, mostly from my advanced class, that helped me set up the lights. And then up in the right hand corner is Mr. House, one of our theater teachers, and he comes in for my Sunday load in and helps me cable, because I still don't know how to do that all by myself. I can put cables together, I just can't make them talk to the lighting board. So that's what he did. So shout out to him. So this is the Monday after show week. We totally strike the theater from the dance show. We unplug cables, we take the instruments off the booms, we pull up the Marley floor, we clean the dressing rooms, and just in general cleanup of the theater. Usually we're on a very tight schedule to do this because other classes move into the theater to do their end of the year productions. So this year I had to get strike done in 3 periods. So periods are about 55 minutes here at this school, so it wasn't a very long time to get it all done, but we did it. And then when that happens, I just have the kids take whatever it is and just put it in the dance room. So no organization, just get it out of the theater, out of the next people's way, and put it in the dance room. And so that really leads to an even messier dance room, because the dance room was trashed during show week. And then bringing the stuff from the theater and just putting it anywhere in this big room makes it even more of a mess. So moving on to that is the next thing. Cleaning up the dance room. So the dance room, like I said, tends to get completely and utterly trashed during the shows. And so we spend the rest of the week after strike cleaning everything up. I have the dancers turn in their costumes that Monday. Well, they're supposed to bring them that Monday because I don't want them to hold on to them at all, but I really have to chase down a lot of the stragglers through the week. So I basically have them make piles, as you can see in my picture. We just make big piles, and then I use all the show documents. So I check out costumes to them, and then I use that book to check them back in. As they drop them in their piles, I check them off, say, okay, you're good. So that's the costume drop off. Like I said, it usually takes a couple days. I like them to bring them that Monday, but of course, I think I was chasing somebody down until like Thursday or Friday. So, but I did get everything back, thank goodness. The dance room in general, I have the students pull down all the show documents that I hang on the mirror and on the whiteboard and on the doors to the dressing room. That includes all of the show orders that I typed up. I type up a document where the costume is labeled for each class. They know what hair they're going to do for which dance. And then this year, it's still, I'm looking at it right now, it's still a little dirty. The mirror, the whole mirror was completely filled with dry erase marker, because this is the way we did diagrams when we were choreographing. We had to, we had Zoom over here, our Zoom kids on the computer facing the mirror. Then we would diagram on the mirror each dance and where they would go if the online kids were doing the show with us. So we really had to clean up the mirror because it was literally full. So that took up a long time. So then I make them wipe down all the surfaces in the dance room, throw out all the, half-drank water bottles. And then we make a pile of lost and found stuff, which wasn't that much this year, which I was impressed. Usually there's a big, big, big pile. This year was mostly socks. I don't know why there were so many dirty socks left. So then everything actually goes on the dance floor that's left, and then everything else gets picked up around it. And yes, I do take all the costumes home to wash. We do have a washer and dryer on site here at school, but I just find it's easier to take them home. Just load them in my car. It's all in one spot because the washer and dryer is in the theater department. And so, not that it's very far away, but it just, in my head, it just seems easier. I can do it at my leisure at home. So, speaking of, now I have about 7 tubs of nasty, sweaty costumes in my kitchen waiting to be washed. I usually do it throughout a couple days. I guess I could have them wash them and bring them back, but it's probably the control freak in me that doesn't want that to happen. I have some sequin dresses and just different stuff. Some of it will be perfectly fine for them to wash, but a lot of it, obviously, I don't dry in the dryer. So it's the control freak in me, I think. I'm just like, bring me the costumes. I will do your dirty laundry. So anyway, that's that. And sorry about the big old hairball there at the tub. Living with 4 dogs is never a dull moment. So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. And it's still sitting there. I haven't done it yet. I haven't started the costumes, and the show was over on May 9th. So they're going to be even worse when I get into that to wash them. Kind of gross, but all right. So then talking about that, I thought this was funny. So the costume closet. It really gets completely trashed during show week as well. And it was worse this year because we didn't use costumes last year. When we did our outside fall show, we wore all black and didn't use costumes. So as the year went by, I just sort of threw stuff in there. I really, really threw stuff in there. And I should have taken a picture, although it would have been embarrassing. I should have taken a picture of it. I could barely open the door. So then to prep for the spring show and getting this costume, so I brought everything out. So it was so I could see what we had. And then during show week, if I leave all of that stuff out, things walk away on their own. So I had to put it all back in the costume closet, of course, with no time to organize because it's show week. So then after show week, I made them literally take every single thing out of the closet. And mind you, some of this stuff has been in there for 12 years that I never even looked at. There's been bins up on the way high cabinet shelf that I've never taken out. So I had everybody take every single thing out. Some of the stuff in the way back was like questionable. There were a lot of props and different things. The person before me did a lot of musical theater. And then there were some questionable costumes. Questionable on many different levels. So I did get rid of things. Some things I don't like to do that because, you hold up this god-awful skirt and you're like, well, what if? And here's a good example. I had cargo pants. I bought cargo pants. They were popular when I first got here 12 years ago. And then nobody has wanted to wear them. And I swear, I pulled them out this year and they're like, oh, cargo pants, Miss Ellen, can we wear them? I was like, so if you hold on to stuff enough, it comes back around in style. But I did get rid of some stuff. They were like, Miss Ellen, you've got to throw some of that out. So I did. So now the costume closet is way more organized, and I know what I have. And this is the most it has been organized, and it has a good feeling. So if you have that, I suggest you do it, because it's a really good feeling. And now I have more room to put new costumes, which we won't be able to afford for a couple years because of the pandemic setting us back. But hey, at least the room is there. I was so proud that I took a picture. Look at that. Look at those labels on there. I know where everything is. I've got my Z-racks with the costumes. And yes, those are mannequins. I have 3 mannequins. We did a dance one year about the standard of beauty. And so we had the mannequins on the stage, and the kids pulled them apart at the end. It was really cool. So anyway, an organized costume closet. And then I was just going to show you the general cleanup. So I clean everything up. So not much to say for this little section. Just I wipe down all surfaces, like I said, and just clean everything up. Get all the clutter, because they do a big cleaning over the summer. And we did get new carpet last summer, so the carpet's pretty good. So this is our dance lounge. I cleaned that up. Here's the big dance studio. I did end up in the dressing room, and what I do in there, I do have a lock system. So I have those, the locks that you turn and they open. So they rent them from me for the year, and then we have them turn them in at the end of the year also, and get all the stuff out of their lockers. And then that's all cleaned up for the year, for the summer, I mean. So that's back there where that drama sign is. So that's all cleaned up. And then this summer they're working on the HVAC in the whole school. And so I had to clear that. That closet has to go move somewhere else, because the HVAC is right above that. So that my plie signs have to be moved. But I can put all that back then after they're done. Okay. Oh, and then, okay, don't judge. This is normal. This is normal. Look at that. I mean, I guess it doesn't feel that messy when I'm working in it. But yeah, this is after show week. You know how you throw stuff around and just put it aside, because nothing is as important as the show. There we go. I'm sitting here right now, and it's nice and clean. So anyway, my desk clean, and it does feel good. All right, so talking about some other things to help you be ready for the next year and start on a good foot is a file purge. And I have a little file cabinet that's right here under my desk. It's like it's 3 drawers. And it fills up quick. So at the end of every year, I go through, and all of the paper and all of the documents that I can throw away, I do. And for me, that means old worksheets that I've kept for some reason. We did a social justice assignment back in December, getting ready for the social justice part of the dance show. And they had to write some stuff, and then they had to create some choreo. And so I had kept all of those worksheets in case we needed to go back to them. So I had, like 80 worksheets in that file cabinet that they've already served their purpose. So stuff like that, I threw that out. I always purge my dance team binder, all the stuff that I don't need, because next year will be new kids. And then I have a budget binder that I also, sometimes there's a few things that I keep, like I will keep the last month or 2 of the account statement, so I know what's in there for the beginning of the year, which is not much for next year. And some of those documents, depending, but most of them I just get rid of because I don't need. So this always makes me feel better too, because then my files are empty, and then I can just start fresh for next year with everything that I need. Okay, so that is the file purge. All right, we're also going to talk about reflection process. So what do I reflect on, and what does that do for the year after? So I was never one to set a policy or a procedure and stick with it no matter what. I'm very fluid. I'm intuitive. I go with the flow, whatever you want to call it. So I guess one could argue that I'm not consistent, inconsistent even, but I would call it that I listen and then I proceed. So I'm not suggesting you do this, but because it works for me, sometimes I do not plan a lot, like for this stuff, procedures, curriculum, performances, general things, just because I wait to hear what the students in the class for that year have to say and what they want to do and what input they have before I implement ideas, activities, policies, and procedures. So I do always have an outline of the things that in my head that I wanted to, number one, accomplish, or, if there's a procedure that I want to change with costumes or attendance or, whatever, I'll have that in my head. But then we do sit down at the beginning of the year and I talk about it. And that's why I have that dance council. I will meet with dance council this summer and ask them as a governing body, is there something that you think would make the department run smoother for next year? And if it's feasible, how can we change it and what can we do? So my reflection process is talking to the kids. And sometimes I do a reflection process at the end with the kids that I have, to give me ideas for moving forward for the next year. So, classroom procedures. And this for me just means what rules worked, what didn't, what was effective. I say rules, but I call them expectations. What was a pointless rule or expectation that I had? And again, I talked to the kids about this, and obviously I reflect for myself as well. I do try to update this every year to reflect the changes in the students. But with that being said, there are expectations that do not change and are consistent. So the returning kids obviously know what to expect, most of it. And then, if anybody out there can please tell me how to get my dancers to buy black shorts or yoga pants and tight-fitting tank tops and shirts without logos, please help me. Please tell me. I don't know. I don't even want the Nike swoosh. I don't want it. I just don't want anything. And you can buy, I have a ton of it. I have all kinds of black attire that has no logos. No matter how much I threaten with points, no matter what, there's always a logo. It drives me nuts. So if anyone has figured out how to do that, our dress code is just all black. And the handbook says no logos. But I just can't. And then what are you going to do? You're going to take 20 points off for some kid having a Nike swoosh, So I just don't want logos. So anyway, if anyone has any advice on that, I'd be glad to take it. Classroom procedures, that was that. The curriculum. I think I've mentioned before that I'm in grad school for dance ed, for my master's in dance ed, and this for next year is going to be a completely huge overhaul for me. I intend to sit down with the students at the beginning of the year and collaborate with them to figure out what the curriculum is going to look like. Yes, of course, it will follow the AKS or, the dance standards. But there's so much more to dance than modern and jazz and ballet, and I just want to widen our lens, to become more inclusive with the kinds of dance we do. And so hopefully we will be able to come up with other dances that the students either know or want to learn. So I'm going to really pretty much let them drive the curriculum for next year. Hopefully, like I said, it will become more inclusive and wider ranging of what we do. So for instance, this year I had a student in what I call my Dance 50/50 class. We do a bunch of partnering stuff. And she's like, Miss Ellen, can we do bachata? And I was like, absolutely, but I don't know bachata. So I think they do it in her family, so it's something that she knows. So I said, well, okay, can you go and learn or get some steps and then come back to us and teach me and the class? And she did. And then we ended up doing a dance in the show, a bachata dance in the show. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking into for next year as I reflect on the things that we have been doing. Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of, like I said, I do mostly modern and jazz. I don't do a lot of ballet, and I'm not going to get rid of that by any means because those are my specialties. But we just need to widen the lens a lot. So anyway, that's what that is going to look like for me. And hopefully that will work well. Performances is, of course, the other thing that I reflect on. This includes student choreo, costumes, attendance procedures, etc. So planning my shows is something that I always do with the dancers rather than coming into the new year with a plan. And again, this works for me. I'm not saying this works for everybody. I know some of the teachers in our county, they know coming into the new year what fall show they're doing, what spring show they're doing, and they have it all set. That's not how I operate. Because like I said, I like to get the kids' input. So our audience and our community, I know they need themes for our dance shows. It helps them frame the dances in context in which they can understand. So like I said, I have ideas in my head, but I always put it to the dancers and we make a collective decision. So they usually guide that. I also reflect on show week procedures. The biggest issue for me is always attendance and grades. I don't need to tell you how busy a show week is. There's 100 plus of students and one of you. So I usually have my dance council are the ones that do the attendance and the checking in. But as with anything that students are doing, there's going to be mistakes or they're not going to do it exactly as you told them to, which, they're students, they're learning. So then I have incomplete information about, somebody not coming in on the right time or somebody left early and this year was an especially hard year to keep track of that because I had online kids and then I had my in-person kids and it was a hot mess. So that's something that I need to reflect on for this year. So if you have any good procedures for that, I would love to hear that as well. And then grades, for the overall performance. And I think I've said this in another webinar, it's hard to, while you're running the show, you're on headset, you're calling the cues, you're running music, whatever you do. You're not going to see somebody, oh, look, she missed a step or she missed part of the choreo, and then you're going to take a grade off for that. There's no way I could do that. So that's always something that I keep revising and trying to figure out. So that's another thing that I reflect on. And again, any kind of foolproof way of doing any of that stuff, I would love to hear. You can do it in the chat. Okay, so these are the basic things that I reflect on for the year. And then general things, just anything else that you feel like you need to revise or want to get the kids' input on. So, reflection. All right, planning for the next year. For this section or slide, I do want to make a suggestion. Perhaps for planning for next year, you don't think about next year until a week or so before we come back to school in July. We completely and utterly need a break. Considering all that we have done this year in this teaching in a worldwide pandemic, and doing online shows and doing shows on the football field and, wearing masks to dance. And oh my goodness, I'm fried. So I do suggest when you're thinking about planning for next year to maybe take a little bit of a break whenever your last day is. Mine's tomorrow. I think I'm just going to take a break, not really think about it for at least a little bit. But anyway, we need the break to recharge, relax, rest, all that. Nothing you don't know. But anyway, all kidding aside about that, the things that I do to make the start of the next year easy, or as easy as it can be, are not too much. Just like I said, because I'm more of I want to get in here on that first week of school when I want to collaborate with the kids, and then we're going to make the plan from there. But you may not be like that. You may want to sit down and plan, and that's perfectly fine. That's the way you work. I think one of the biggest things for me is just prepare your room. And you might have different criteria for that from your school anyway. I've talked at length from the beginning of the presentation about cleaning up and organizing everything. I like to walk back in July or August, whenever we get back, with everything in its place. So all I have to do is focus on curriculum and content and the plans. There have been years when I have walked out of this dance room and I literally have shoved every single thing in the costume closet. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. I'm leaving. Just shove it in there, because the closets, the administration and the custodians don't really get into, so I can just put anything in there. And then I have absolutely regretted that coming back at the beginning of the year, because that is the last thing you want to do, is have to organize your costumes, get everything cleaned up from the closet. I don't suggest that. I have done it, and it was awful. I've done it in 12 years. I've done it a couple times, but not anymore. Just because I want all of that to be ready for me when I go. I don't want to think about that. So something to think about there. And then I think the other thing, like I said, this year, take a break. But then when you feel like you have refreshed, you might want to just start thinking about what you want to do for the year. You can write it out, type it out, keep it in your head, whatever works for you. You may want to have ideas about show themes. What type of dances you will teach. Like I said, I am widening my lens of what dances we do in my class. And you might even want to think about what guest artists, if you do that, what guest artists you want to work with. You might want to start making those contacts over the summer. Just a text, a phone call, an email saying, hey, we want to work with you next school year. I guess technically speaking, you could even schedule them. Like I said, again, I'm not that far ahead with absolute exact planning. But I will make some contacts over the summer to people who I feel like I want to work with, or who will be good to work with my students. So those are the things. I don't think there's a ton of stuff to do in that respect for me. Like I said, because I get in here and I collaborate with the kids, and then that first week is when we really make the plans. But, I have an idea of what we want to do. Because this year has been so rough, I thought I'd just put this in here. I got these 2 notes the other day. One was a little card with a Dunkin'. They know I drink coffee, obviously. Well, most of us drink coffee. But this one, she was on dance team. She's a freshman. She's on dance team, and she's in my intro class. And you see she crossed something out in the road. It's so cute. I love this. I love how you are strict during the shows. I love your enthusiasm you have with your classes. You have made me realize that when I'm older, I can do my favorite 2 things. I can be a dance teacher and a softball coach too. I'm like, I was pretty lenient this year because of the pandemic. I'm warning them. I'm like, when we get back next year, I'm going to be strict. I got a whole year to make up. I let the logos on the black clothes fly this year because I just wanted people to be here. I just wanted you to get up and dance. So, get ready for next year. I'm going to be really strict. And then the other one, that was the one on the right. And then the one on the left, she's a 9th grader, completely different from the girl that wrote this one on the right. She dances at a studio. So she was the only freshman in my advanced class this year. Real mature girl. So I won't obviously read the whole thing, but she said, "Dear Miss Ellen, thank you for being incredible." You're welcome. And then it says, you are obviously my favorite teacher. So, and she goes on. So anyway, and I know you get those letters, and that's the fabulous part of our job. And that's what allowed us to get moving through this whole year. Yes. So, okay. And they have asked us if we wanted to continue on with the webinars. So I will see you next year. I will be doing these webinars next year again. And I would love to hear from you about what topics, because I think they sort of gave us the topics that we were to talk about this year. But I think for next year, we will be somewhat making our own topics. So I would love to hear what you want to listen to. We can, I'm thinking maybe taking deep dives into actual lessons, the actual dance lessons. We can talk productions, we can talk choreo, just anything. And I know and next year I'm going to be out of my bubble. And by bubble, I mean the loom bubble. So that was some of the feedback we got, especially for us. We move so much, and I'm just a talking head here. So next year I will figure out how to, get out of the bubble and move around and make different videos. So I would really love to hear what you have to say or what you want to hear next year. And thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. You have earned it. All right. See you soon.